DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Baldwin, also known as DreAllDay, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to master presence. Presence. This is a state. Whenever you hear this term presence, it's a state that in the sports world we often refer to this as being in the zone. Any of you ever heard someone talk about being in the zone? That is the same thing that I'm talking about when I say presence, but since I'm not talking about playing sports, I'm gonna give you a definition of the word presence. It means, well, it says the state of being present, which is a bad definition, or it says a person who is present. I don't like that. And what I would say, I like a definition here, number 5 definition, the quality of self-assurance and effectiveness that permits a performer to achieve a rapport with the audience, which is fine, but that's not exactly what I'm looking for here, because I'm also don't necessarily mean you have an audience. The state of being present, of being within sight or call at hand, that's not a good one either. I don't like any of these definitions. Actually, here's a good one. A person's bearing, especially when it commands respectful attention. That's actually the best definition. It's definition number 4, which is, again, a person's bearing, especially when it commands respectful attention. And then you have this word bearing, which is not that commonly used in today's language. Bearing means the manner in which one conducts or carries oneself, including posture and gestures. It can also mean the direction of one point in relation to another, or a machine element that supports moving parts and reduces friction. So all these different definitions of words, but the one that was just given, which is the manner in which one behaves or comports oneself, is the bearing. And let me look up presence here. I'm looking in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. They may have a better definition, but they're using the root of it, which is the word present, which is not what I'm looking for. And let me see it again. Yeah, the bearing, carriage, or air of a person is basically what they're giving us. That's what I mean when I say presence. So in sports, when an athlete is completely present, we call that being in the zone. All right, all of you have heard of that term, even if you don't play a sport. You've heard of an athlete being in the zone. That's when an athlete is completely present. When it comes to you in everyday life, whether you are an athlete or not, whether you are playing sports every day or not, when it comes to you being the best version of yourself, that's what we're talking about presence here today. You don't need to play sports. You don't need to be an athlete to understand its value. And today I'm going to break down and explain it anyway, and in a way that anyone that's a human can use, regardless of profession, regardless of age, regardless of where you come from, and regardless of where you are going. And you'll be able to apply this and start using it immediately as soon as you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. Point number 1. Today's topic, once again, is how to master presence. Number 1, be exactly where you are while you are there. Be exactly where you are while you are there. One thing that's always been said about former President Bill Clinton, regardless of how you feel about his politics, is that if you were in a conversation with President Clinton, you felt like you were the only person in the world at that moment. That he had this ability, this charisma, if you will, to be so focused on the conversation with the person he was talking to that he made you feel very important. He made you feel very special just because he paid complete attention to you in the moment that he was talking to you, even if you were, relative to him, a nobody. That's what people say about Bill Clinton. I've never met Bill Clinton, but I've heard many people say that about him, and that was one of his key personality traits that made him who he was. And I'll ask rhetorically, is this part of the reason why Bill Clinton was president for 2 terms? And I'll answer the question, yes, it was. Any of you who has a dog, I know this is specifically true about dogs. I've had dogs before. I don't have dogs now, but I've had dogs before. That dogs pay complete attention to their human masters, their human owners. And a dog knows, any of you who has a dog, you know this to be true, that when you're about to leave the house, the dog knows if the dog is going on the trip with you or if the dog is not going on the trip with you, even though you did not say anything to the dog. The dog knows that if you're going somewhere and the dog's going to come in the car with you, it knows. And if you're going somewhere and the dog has to be left at home, it also knows. How's it know? You didn't say anything. It knows because the dog is paying so much attention to you and completely ignoring everything else that it can read your unconscious signals, and it knows exactly what you are thinking because you are giving it off somehow, some way through your body language and through your energy that you don't even have to say anything. It already knows exactly what is going on. How is that possible? How is a dog able to do this when a human has a much more complex brain than a dog? Well, very simply, because the dog is focusing only on you, whereas humans have a whole bunch of things going through our heads at all times, as opposed to a dog. The simplicity of a dog's thought process makes it easier for them to focus than it makes for a human to focus. Magic formula, right? All right, this is the way it works. When you are completely present, you have much more energy for the thing that you're focused on. Author Robert Greene, he discusses presence in a different way when he talks about being completely focused in the moment and completely immersing yourself in the task at hand. When you devote all of your resources, as he says, to the very thing that you're doing in the moment, you become a more powerful and more potent individual. You even become more intimidating simply because you're putting everything you have into the current activity rather than the way most of us behave, which is when we're dividing our behaviors amongst, not behaviors, excuse me, our energy and our focus amongst multiple things and trying to do them all at the same time. And it doesn't mean that we can't possibly, quote unquote, succeed with what we all refer to as multitasking, or what is more accurately stated as task switching. It's not that we can't do it. You can do it. The problem is you can't get the best out of yourself and everything that you're doing when you're trying to do more than one thing at once. Doesn't mean you can't do them, but are you doing the best you could at everything when you're doing more than one thing? The answer is no, you cannot. An example I've given of this over and over again is Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan was playing basketball, all he focused on was playing basketball. That's all he did, was play basketball. If you saw the documentaries about him, you saw movies made about him, you read books made about him, all he did was play basketball. His only focus was, how do I be the best basketball player I can be, and in turn destroy all the players who are playing against me. And because that was his main focus, did that play a role in him being as great of a basketball player as he was? The answer is, of course, it did. You look at other players who fit that description, or it ain't too many of them, but one of them is Kobe Bryant. All he cared about was basketball. And you read any books about Kobe, you listen to documentaries or people talking about Kobe, and the more of them will come out as the years go by. Kobe just stopped playing. He's more contemporary to Michael Jordan. But you'll hear more of these stories come out of people just saying all this dude did was play basketball. He wasn't interested in anything else, just basketball, nothing else. And all the other players that you see these days, most of them are not this. Look around the other players you see these days who play sports, any sport. You see them doing a whole bunch of things that have not a damn thing to do with the sport that they're allegedly so great at. Well, not allegedly, but we know they're great at. And despite them being as great as they are at that sport while doing other things, here's the interesting thing. If they didn't focus on the other things and just focus on the sport, they would be even better than they are. And this is the trick that human beings play on ourselves, is that we're getting good enough results out of a thing, even when we're not fully focused on it, that we say, well, look at these good results I'm getting. I'm not even fully focused on it. I'm doing all these other things and I'm still doing great at this. Why put my full focus into it? Look at the results I'm getting without full focus. What's the point? I'm still getting the ROI. I'm still making the money. I'm still famous. And I still got these 4 or 5 other things going too. Why not just juggle them all at the same time? I seem to be doing good enough. And you can't tell them that they're wrong. It's their life. You can do whatever you want to do. But if you want to get the maximum juice out of anything, you got to put your full focus into it, period. There's no reversal to this. There are no exceptions to this rule. There are 0 exceptions to this rule. Just because someone is good at what they do without putting full focus into it does not mean they're getting the most that they could get out of it. Now, maybe they're getting more out of it than what you could get with your full focus. You look at someone like Michael Jordan. There are some players out there that if they focused everything they had on basketball, they would not come close to Michael Jordan because they simply don't have the rest of the tools that he had. But that does not mean that you giving half your effort to basketball makes it okay simply because you couldn't be as good as Michael Jordan. And if there's a player out there who's giving half his focus to basketball, he's still better than you, and you're giving all your focus, well, hey, everybody doesn't drive the same distance with the same vehicle. All right, maybe that ain't your vehicle. The great thing about this first point, ladies and gentlemen, is that everyone can start doing this right now in the moment where you are, as being completely present in the very task that you are doing rather than splitting your attention. Most of us split our attention way too much and in way too many pieces is the reason why we're only half attaining in anything that we do. Even if our half attainment looks better than everybody else's, what does it have to do with your potential? The answer is nothing. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to master presence. Number 2, master the silent amplifiers. What is a silent amplifier? If I were to ask you right now, I want you to describe a completely confident, steady, and competent man or competent, confident, and steady woman. Go ahead and describe them. Visually describe what that person looks like. Describe how it feels when you see them. Describe how they walk, how they talk, how they carry themselves, how other people respond to them. Just give me a description. A completely confident, steady, and competent man or woman. All right, you got it? You thinking about it? I want you to come up with a description. Describe them. You would probably say things like they move in a confident way, in a way that, have you ever seen somebody moving about and you can just feel their confidence, even if you don't even know who they are? Like, this person just seems confident. I don't know who they are, but they're just confident. This person is just very confident. Their energy tells you who they are without them saying a word. Have you ever come across a person who fit that description? Of course you have. They make and hold steady eye contact with anyone they come across. If they're looking at you, they're looking at you, and you know they're looking at you. They speak clearly and directly. True? They pay attention and focus on whatever they are doing in the moment. Again, we're talking about a confident, and steady person. They pay complete attention to what they're doing in the moment. Do they hesitate? Do they stutter? Do they stammer? Do they get stuck in communication? No, a completely competent and confident person never has this problem. Even if they were to say something that is false, not true, it will sound and feel as if it is true just because of who they are and because of how they say it. This is all because of their silent, unspoken signals that I'm calling your silent amplifiers. And again, these are all things that I'm telling you, you would say these things to describe a person who you don't even know, just by the way they're carrying themselves. So for you right now where you are, check your posture. Are you sitting up straight? If you're walking, are you standing up straight? Are your shoulders back? Are your shoulders down, meaning they're not shrugged, you're not in the shrugged, your shoulders shrugged position, but your shoulders are down and relaxed. Is your head up? Are your eyes forward? Or are you looking down at your phone? Are you making and holding eye contact with people? Even if you don't talk to them, you just make eye contact with people. Because most people unconsciously read a lack of eye contact as a sign of deceit or insecurity or a lack of confidence, whether it's true or not. Many people read that in you, that you don't believe in yourself or that you're deceitful or I shouldn't trust you just because you can't keep eye contact. When you appear insecure or distracted, that destroys the aura of presence in the eyes of others. Is this true? Of course it's true. Understand that in life, the opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, are in the opposites. And to take advantage of that opportunity, you use the law of contrast. What is the law of contrast? Is that you look around at what most everyone else is doing and you do the opposite of that. That's how you stand out. So we know that most people try to get their point across and get themselves heard by what? Doing and saying a whole lot of different things and having a bunch of things going on all at the same time. So what's the opportunity? You make your presence felt by what? Focusing on fewer things, but being completely engaged in those fewer things that you're focused on, and your power is that much stronger because of the focus, because you're putting all your resources into one focus. The opportunity is to make your presence felt more by doing and trying and saying less, but it's all focused in one place. So you may take the same amount of activity, but it's all focused in one place. Instead of spreading it out over 10 things, you're putting all your units into one thing. Now you get more return on investment from that one thing. So the challenge here just becomes, what's the one thing? That's the thing you got to focus on. When you move with purpose. You go directly to your target, no hesitation, no diverting of action, no diverting of energy. That is how you develop presence. But you have to be all in on the thing that you are doing. Again, these are all part of the silent amplifiers. And these are all things that people can notice in you by simply watching you, never even speaking to you, just by the way you carry yourself. Point number 3, today's topic once again is how to master presence. Number 3, internal certainty. Internal certainty. Since presence is not something that you announce, it's not like you walk around and tell everybody, hey, I'm present. Hey, notice my presence here? No, you don't do that. You don't walk around with a big sign on your forehead that says, hey, I'm present. You have to understand what presence really means. Presence is internal energy. That's all presence is. It's internal energy. When an athlete is in the zone playing their sport, they don't announce that they're in the zone. Now, there's not a big sign flashing above their head that says they're in the zone. Back in the days, there used to be a 2-on-2, game called NBA Jam. Some of you who are old enough remember NBA Jam. It'd be 2 players from NBA teams that you know, like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, playing NBA Jam against 2 other players from the NBA. And if a player made 3 shots in a row, then the game would start saying he's on fire. And that player would literally have fire coming off them. And you want to give them the ball and shoot as much as possible because they're making all their shots because they're on fire. That's not the way it works in real life. In real life, when someone's on fire or in the zone or they're fully present, there's no big flashing sign that says, hey, that guy over there, he's in the zone. No, you just feel it. You just feel their energy. That's what presence is. It's internal certainty. Internal energy that people can feel externally. Remember when I told you the 3 laws of energy? Number 1, energy is everything. Number 2, energy is contagious. And number 3, energy cannot lie. All 3 of them factor into this point right here. Energy is everything, meaning the energy that you carry tells a whole lot more of the story about you than anything else that you say or anything anybody else says about you. Your energy is telling the truth. Because the second law of energy is that energy is contagious, meaning when you are fully present and you're fully locked in on what you're doing, other people can feel that and they respond in accordance with the energy that is coming off of you. Their response is reflective of the energy that you have. And number 3, energy cannot lie, meaning when a person is completely focused and their presence is felt, you can't lie about presence. If you're fully present in what you are doing, you can't pretend to be fully present and not be fully present. That's not a thing. It's impossible. When this person is fully present with you, you can feel that they're fully present with you. When a person is distracted when they're with you, you can feel that they're distracted. Is this true or is it not? Of course it's true. All of us have felt this before. Any of you ever had a conversation with someone and you could tell they weren't completely focused on what you were saying or on the conversation itself? And you kind of might not even felt like talking to them anymore because you could tell they weren't quite listening the way you wanted them to listen? Of course. Everybody's experienced that before. All people do, folks, remember, presence is internal energy and that your personal brand, how people feel about you. And when I say your personal brand, I don't mean you need to be findable on Google. Personal brand just means how are people picking up on you and what impression are people getting of you when you step into a room. Your personal brand starts with what you say and what you feel about yourself. Because what you say and what you feel about yourself internally, everybody else just picks up on that message and they run with it. That's what they do. So that becomes your reputation and that becomes your brand. So you need to get your internal conversation in the right place. Make sure it's not in conflict with you or with itself. And then what exactly does that mean? That means that the way that you talk to yourself should never go against the grain of what you actually want to believe about yourself or that you want to be manifested about yourself. In other words, don't keep mentally beating yourself up when things are going bad or when you make a mistake or something goes wrong in your life. Because every time you mentally beat yourself up, you're putting negative journal entries into the official ledger of your mind and the official conversation you're having about yourself, which affects the way you present yourself, which affects the way other people pick up on you. They can pick up on these negative cues that you've been giving yourself because they're going to come off of you subconsciously in ways that you don't even control and you don't even see. See, you don't want the world to view you in a negative way, so don't talk to yourself in a negative way because eventually everything that goes in must come out. All right, remember the laws of energy. Everything balances out. The energy you put in is the energy that you get back. So if you put negative energy onto yourself by saying negative things about you to you, eventually those things are going to come out of you. Other people are going to pick up on them and they're going to have less trust and less trust in and less respect for you because you're giving off unconscious signals that you don't believe in yourself. And it all started with your internal conversation. So stop telling yourself to view yourself negatively if you don't want other people to view you negatively. And if you never view yourself in a negative way, then there's no way anybody else can view you negatively, even if they pretend that they do. That's it. Let's recap today's class, which is how to master presence. Again, this is a state that in the sports world, we call it being in the zone. In the everyday world, the definition of presence is the bearing, carriage, or air of a person. Basically, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you show up, that other people can feel. Number 1, be exactly where you are while you are there. When you are fully present in the moment, you become intimidating. You become the most powerful person in the room simply because you are fully present in the moment and in the thing you're doing, especially in a world where everybody has their attention divided amongst multiple things. Number 2, master the silent amplifiers. That's the way you show up, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, the energy you have, the eye contact you hold, the way that you just appear confident, even if a person doesn't know you, they're just watching you from across the street. They can feel your energy just in the way you carry yourself. Number 3, internal certainty. Since presence is not something that you announce, you don't walk around with a big sign on your head. It's your internal energy, which radiates outward, and people can get a feel and a read on who you are as a person just by the way that your energy is coming off. Again, even if they're watching you from across the street and they never have an exchange with you, never shake your hand, never actually meet you, they can tell a whole lot of things about you. You just want to make sure they're telling the right things based on the signals that you are giving. All that said, at workonyourgameuniversity.com, that's where you can work with me directly. That's where you can have me as your direct coach. And that's where we can get you making these internal signals become the way that you are always. These internal signals that we are talking about, they get hardwired into who you are as a person. They become the way you conduct yourself on a day-to-day basis, and it changes your life from the inside out, which is what I do. I work with people on their businesses, but we change your life from the inside out because we start with the mentality, we start with the person in the mirror, then we go to all the externalities like your body, your family, your mind, your business, your money, etc., etc. All that happens at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Go to that link. It's down in the description as well. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. Have me as your coach, and let's get to work. Work on your game. Dre, all